Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Zephyr Epic. You can use promo code Hockey Season, capital H, capital S, all one word, Hockey Season. That will get you $5 off your order at ZephyrEpic.com. That is ZEPHYR Epic. Check them out on all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, whatever it is. They're all over the social medias with all of your trading card needs covered. You can visit them online at ZephyrEpic.com or in person at their retail location in Surrey.
Shout out to Colin.
Shout out to Colin
and his kids. We won't say his kid's name on the air, but
and their puppy, 8-week-old puppy. We put it out last week. If beautiful. You got kids and you want hockey cards, we're doing in-home deliveries.
Yep.
Brought some hockey cards for Colin.
Got another one in a couple days here as well. More hockey cards.
Yes.
A request for Oilers cards.
Yes. So some Oilers cards. Yeah.
I've been saving the Oilers cards on the side here to send to Oilers Nation, but you know what? I know it's Aaron Bordato, our producer's birthday today, and the Oilers guys, they all want the Oilers cards. The kids come first, okay?
Yes.
That's the one rule on this show. It's been since day one.
I was thinking
kids come first.
Maybe we can have some Oilers Nation merch sent out, but we'll talk about this off air. My name's Dave Quadrelli. I'm joined as always by the man who built the place, Chris Faber, our technical producer, and a very happy birthday to our technical producer, Aaron Bordato, today. That is not the biggest news of the day, unfortunately for Aaron. Quinn Hughes has been named the 15th captain in Vancouver Canucks history. How are you? Do you want to say anything before we get to the stuff? We got a busy show. I don't think we got time for pleasantries today.
Here's at least some pleasantries would be nice towards Aaron. I've never seen you brush past something so fast. Happy birthday, Aaron.
I said happy birthday. What do you want me to say? I can't give him a cake.
Some HBDs in the chat, please. Let's go.
Let's get some HBDs in the chat.
I appreciate it, boys. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Quads is trying to get out of this as quick as possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna get moving here. You've put on your little dress clothes. I just want to tell the people the reason I'm wearing a suit is because my dear co-host here slept in. Horrible. Yes, you. Oh, what do you mean? It's a Monday morning. You can't clock in at 9:45 in the morning.
I was up at 9:10.
Okay,
on the dot.
So the Canucks announced at 8:16 this morning that Quinn Hughes will be the 15th captain in Canucks history. I immediately get the news post up. I text Chris. I say, hey, man, like, you live next to the rink. You think you can make this one? No response. Wanting to make sure that we had coverage, I threw on my suit, hopped on the SkyTrain, and came in downtown to do the press conference.
No,
and that's what I did.
It's always a good thing when Quads decides to put in a full day of work. and today was the first time we've had that in a while. So that was, good for you coming down to the rink.
Oh, you're going to talk to me about work. Reddit's on my side now. Reddit noticed you're the one that doesn't have the work ethic after Friday's report, my practice rink report, which might I add, I think, conspiracy Canuck here, I think to some extent, the Canucks announced this because they didn't want all the shows to be talking about the Friday report. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to it because we have to talk about Quinn Hughes as the captain.
Well, you've got even more on, by the way, the article's good, but I know you want to talk. You want to spend some time to break down the article that you wrote as well.
Yes.
That's a major report as well. The practice rink that trending towards being a very strong landing point.
I can see Burnaby Mountain from here. So all the people crying, just settle down. It's not that far. Anyways, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about the report from Friday that SFU might be the home of the Canucks' new practice facility. We'll talk about that after. First things first, Chris, Quinn Hughes as the 15th captain in Canucks history. You said that about 4 times already. You were the first one that I know of, and I'm going to give you props here, buddy.
Yeah.
You were the first person that I know that was on the Hughes for captain train. Do we know when the first time you said this was? Because I think it was quite some time ago. Like, I think this was... You were arguably saying this like the week that Horvat was traded, and you're looking it up. You're trying to find the archives here, but I do know that you were one of the first on this train, and I have to give props to you for that. I came around on it, but I'll be honest. I thought Pettersson first. My first thought was Pettersson. Some folks in the chat saying they would have liked to have seen JT Miller. Of course, our YouTube live chat is bumping as always, but your reaction to Quinn Hughes being named captain?
Yeah, I think it's the right choice. I've seen enough from Quinn Hughes to think that he's the right leader for this specific Canucks organization and this team. The way they're at, the way they're kind of trying to turn the page. I actually like the announcement coming in today instead of being like an opening night, big ceremony type of thing. I like it. Patrick Allvin mentioned it a few times today in the press conference that it's a fresh start. They're turning the page, those type of things. And I completely agree. That's what this organization really needs. I think putting the C on Quinn's chest is the right move. I think he is the leader of this team. He's the right guy to be the captain moving forward. So yeah, I'm all on board, and yeah, I've been saying it for a long time. It's like I said, I go back to how difficult that end of season availability was for Brock Besser just weeks before he lost his dad, and seeing Quinn step up in that situation, I tell you, like that, I knew from that moment like he should be the next captain. That's a moment that you need someone to be the leader, like, and help out your teammates in those type of situations. I just all through and through, yeah, I've been saying Quinn Hughes is going to be the captain. He should be. And nice to see it today. I think it's good. He's I've seen in the chat a little bit here. Yeah, he's a bit quiet for a coach or for a captain, but to me, he is the leader. He's the guy who's going to play the most ice time for this team. He's going to be on the ice all the time. He's the guy that you want to be leading this group. And I tell you, once they get to the playoffs, I think it's even more. I think that's when you're really going to see this guy be the leader of this team that you expect when you put a C on his chest.
He's quiet, but so are the Sedins. And he brought up the Sedins, and I found that very interesting. There's a quote, I should know it, but there's a quote about, the guy who talks the most isn't always the smartest person in the room. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Well, we can say that on this show. I talk the most here, I think.
I think this episode, I'll be talking the most.
Yeah,
so,
it's true.
Yeah, this might ring true, especially today. But my point being that when he opens his mouth, it's always very calculated, right? Like we saw him speak up about the Tanner Pearson hand injury, right? Organization probably didn't love that, but you know what? Quinn was speaking his mind, right? And he was very sure of what he was saying. It's not like he just thought about that and said, yeah, I'm going to say something about this. Like, no, that was a very calculated thing that Hughes did. And look, I have all the respect in the world for Quinn Hughes as a leader. I think he's a great choice for captain. I absolutely do.
Yeah, I think
just the way he carried himself today as well. Like at the press conference, sorry to cut you off as soon as you start talking, but just the way he carried himself at the press conference, the way he answered questions, the way he was able to reflect and point out not a mistake per se, but maybe a blind spot of his where he said, I have not taken advantage of the fact that the Sedins are right there.
Right.
And they were standing in the room when this happened, when the announcement was made. But he said, he's asked about his parents, talked about he's going to lean on his parents and all that. But he also spoke about, two guys I haven't leaned on that I probably should have more are the Sedins. Right. And those are two guys that the question I kind of had in my mind, I didn't end up asking it, was who's a guy or a leader, like a captain, former captain around the league that reminds you of Hughes's leadership style? And I think one of the obvious answers is Henrik Sedin, right? Like, quiet, calculated in what he says. He's quiet, but when he talks, he is the guy that you want to be talking. He is the guy that you want to be representing your organization. Like JT Miller wears his heart on his sleeve, but do you want your captain saying stuff like, yeah, I don't care if people throw their crap on the ice when a jersey's thrown on the ice, right? Like just the way Horvat carried himself in media avails compared to how JT does. And that's not a criticism of JT.
Sure.
Everybody has different leadership styles, but from an organizational standpoint, I completely understand why you would want Quinn Hughes representing your organization.
Yeah, I think a lot of the captaincy to me is about respect. And let's be frankly honest here. Does anybody in the Canucks locker room generate more respect from their play on the ice than Quinn Hughes?
Exactly.
I don't think so. I think he's the most respected player in that locker room for what he does on a night-to-night basis. And yeah, he's not going to put up 100 points, right? Patterson put up 100 points last year. That's all great. But man, Quinn Hughes is eating 27 minutes a night. Like this guy is putting everything out there for this team. I think for that reason alone, the stuff that he does on ice, he makes the most sense as a captain. And you brought up like the kind of calm demeanor that he has. I think that's a good thing to have as a captain, specifically in a Canadian market. And that was something that he talked about a little bit today when he was kind of answering some of the questions. I found it interesting. This is one of the quotes. Said it's a blessing to play here. Some people may not want that pressure or whatnot, but I know that the first game of the season, it's going to be packed and people are going to be excited, and that's what you want. Yes, those are the positive things, but I think what you brought up was like keeping that honest but calm way of talking about when things are going bad, right? Like when this team's on a 4-game losing streak and they're coming home after a horrible road trip and they have to answer for that, or what's the playoff situation like all these things. I feel very good about Quinn Hughes being the guy to speak for the room in that situation, because we love dealing with him because he's not going to give us a 4-minute answer like Luke Shen did last year when you're talking to a player like that, but you're going to get like your 30-second clear point from Quinn Hughes, like a captain should. Gets to the point, delivers his message, speaks for the room. Nobody in that room is better than Quinn Hughes for that.
Well said. Do you have anything else you want to mention about Quinn Hughes before
we can play the video here from the Canucks? Sure. Tweet. We'll kind of just react to this. This was talking about getting the support from the other leaders. We're talking about JT Miller, Thatcher Demko, Elias Pettersson, making sure that the whole team was behind him. So let's play this clip real quick. We'll react off to this. I think he talked a little bit about expectations as well. We'll play the full clip. It starts off here talking about the support from the rest of the leadership group.
Yesterday, meant a lot to me just from what he said. I played with him and Petey and Demmer and Brock and these guys for 5 years, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, and they're really the only guys that know what it's like to be in my shoes and vice versa. So, they're really special relationships, and to have what he said and Petey, it means a lot to me.
What's your message to the fans?
Yeah, I would say to the fans that it's been an honor to be here for 5 years and play for the Canucks. I mean, just seeing how passionate the city is, and this is really a hockey market. Now being the captain, it's incredibly special, something I never dreamed of, and it's going to be exciting.
It is going to be exciting. And I think it's a new page in Canucks history, right? And hey, they got to go out and prove it on the ice. They got to absolutely go prove it on the ice this season. But it's a better feel around the organization, right? And I'm not saying this is all because of Hughes, but I've talked about this before. Even the leadership group just making a point of saying, hey, we all got to get out here very early this season, and we cannot have the same start that we did last year. Alvin spoke about how that went into the decision, right? I tried to get him to clarify it, but he hinted at it. He hinted at the fact that they wanted to get it done ahead of training camp. To just have it behind them, and they don't want to do the big ceremony and all that, which I found interesting. It was an interesting angle, and to be honest, I agree with it. I think you want to have that leader in training camp, even if all the guys know. Now everybody knows, right? Like that's the guy. That's the guy you're going to talk to during preseason. That's the guy you're going to talk to all season long.
Yeah, I like it because they could have so easily, like their first game of the season. It's a weird setup for people who don't know how the season starts. It's one game at home, then boom, you're on the road.
Yeah.
To me, and we talked about this a little bit, like it felt like that was okay. That's the night where they're going to announce it. I like this. I like this setting the standard for a new training camp. It's like they said, it's a fresh start, turning the page, whatever terminology you want to use here. I just love that this is the direction they're going and that they did it today. I think this is the right move moving forward. With the young stars around the corner, maybe Quinn's a guy who talks to some of the players, the young stars, in a similar way to R.C. Baines at development camp, or kind of, I just, to me, like a captain sets the standard for the organization. And who else would you like? You couldn't ask for a better guy than Quinn Hughes. This is a guy who grew up around hockey. It's been his life since he was pretty much born, I guess, right? Like he's come into this, he's learned what the culture around hockey is and the culture that he wants to set in hockey. And I think that's something that we've seen from the Hughes family is like, hey, they do a lot of good for the sport. And right now you have one of those guys being the captain of a major Vancouver market, which is huge across Canada, across the NHL. It's a great setup, I think, moving forward here. And yeah, just like, no qualms. Is that it? Is that the word? Qualms. Damn, I was close. No qualms at all. Well, I didn't sleep last night.
No, you slept this morning. We all know.
Okay, here we go. No, okay. No, I'm just saying, like, I think everybody's on the same page. We have the poll question coming up later about the practice rink. We'll spend some more time talking about that. But why don't we dive into that? Because I think we're done here. I think we're all in agreement here. Like, this is great. And I'm glad they did it now. I'm like, is anybody arguing they should have done it on opening night and had a big ceremony? I don't know.
You gonna bust out word of the day again this year when we're back to 5 days a week?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You want to talk about 5 days a week real quick?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing 5 days a week again.
Yeah. So the goal, so training camp, right? It's the 21st to the 25th.
Yeah.
That week is when we're gonna start, but I think it's only gonna be 4 that day because we're gonna start on the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. Yeah. And then basically once, what's the month after September here? October.
And
October's full on 5 days
I will be in Edmonton, so I will be doing the show remotely. On the 12th, I fly into Edmonton. So the 12th, I'll try to be, I hope I'm around for the show. You might have to get a guest co-host. Yeah. And then Friday, I will be working all day from Edmonton. Saturday, Canucks at Oilers. I'll be in attendance for that one. But I got, like, obviously Canucks are going to practice on Friday. The 13th, all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, so we're ramping back up 5 days a week, and a regular guest announcement. When you want to do that on Wednesday, maybe on the show, live on the show?
Sure. Okay. Yep. Good thing we did a show on Monday. We only did a show on Monday because I dropped that SFU report on Friday, and I said over the weekend I was like, hey, I want to do a show on Monday, which is very rare that I want to do extra work.
And that's something that's different from last year.
Is me doing extra work.
Well, we haven't seen that yet. We'll see if that happens actually, or if this is just, word of mouth here going around and bunch of flubs here. But what I'm saying is something different for next year and this coming season. I mean, we're going to have regular guests. on many of the days. We've got a great guest list lined up, I think, right now. Monday to Friday, a guest on each day, which I'm very excited to chat with and kind of, make this more, get this into like a smooth running show. Smooth operator here now that I'm running everything around Canucks Convo here. But I'm excited about it. All right, let's get to the practice rink. This is the report you broke. Was it Friday night?
It was Friday night.
Friday night, you're breaking news. Did a great job covering this. So why don't you just walk us through from tell people who don't know about the story that you broke on Friday about a potential practice rink.
I've been working on this story since about April. I'd say April is the first time I heard about the first meeting between Francesco Aquilini and SFU president Joy Johnson. A big part of this story was trying to figure out what they were meeting about, right? Like, because this could have been any number of things, right? But then I started to follow each lead, and it kind of led me to putting together all the information that was in the Friday report. Now, in that Friday report, I focused a lot on what we know, because that's what you do. When you're a big J journalist wearing a suit, that's what you do, is you only focus on what you know, not what you think. Because this is a podcast, I am going to dive into the what we think about the situation, what we wonder about the situation, but I will quickly recap first what we know about the situation and basically what I reported on Friday. So here is what we know in the spirit of good journalism. Here are the things that we know. The Canucks have been looking basically since Jim Rutherford was hired as president for a practice facility. The Plaza of Nations deal fell apart in early 2020, and nobody really knows the exact reason why. I'm sure one day we'll find out, but nobody knows why that happened. You're making the money sign for those on the podcast. And hey, that might be it. We don't know the actual reason. We're only focusing on what we know, Chris, in the spirit of good journalism.
I didn't say anything.
We also know that securing land in Vancouver has been difficult for ownership. And of course, you can do the money sign there because, hey, it is expensive and it has posed challenges for ownership. Our pal Patrick Johnson has reported about the Willingdon Canada Way option. Again, I want to stress with this SFU report that we don't know that it's going to be there. We do know that they are talking about it being there, and we know a lot more about that situation than we do some of the other options. But I also know that the Canucks are looking at, and we know this because Jim Rutherford said it last time he spoke about it. I believe it was May he talked about it, that they've zeroed in on 2 to 3 potential places. I think that might have actually been last year. I got to look that up. But I know one of the last times Rutherford spoke, he talked about how they are zeroing in on 2 to 3 potential sites for the practice rink. The Canucks are going to become the last team in the NHL who don't have a practice rink. As soon as that Flames facility is built, they will be the only team in the league without a practice facility. Look, there's no need to talk about it more. The organization knows this is something that needs to get done. So they are working on it. So again, what do we know? They want a practice facility. It has been difficult to secure land. The other thing we know, now this is where you got to stay with me, folks. SFU said goodbye to their football program, and some of the athletic department's biggest donors are huge advocates of bringing Div 1 NCAA hockey to the school. One thing I'll say that I didn't mention in the article is that some donors were not very big fans of the football program, and at the end of the day, money talks. I'm not going to get more into that, but keep that in mind here. Some donors want Div 1 hockey, and like I said, they weren't very big fans of the football program. If the school wants to remain in the NCAA, they will need to add another program with the departure of football. This is where we start to see the door opening for Div 1 hockey to come to the school. Right now, they play in the BCIHL out of Bill Copeland. You ever been to Bill Copeland, Chris? Burnaby?
Maybe.
I had my graduation ceremony was there.
I've been to some BCHL games. Is that the one out there?
No.
No. Okay, never mind.
Actually, well, the Burnaby Express, now Coquitlam Express. No. They used to be there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They played there when Poirier was getting constructed. Anyways, back to what we know. They play at Bill Copeland. Bill Copeland is very outdated. The SFU hockey team has also scheduled games against Tom Willander, Aiden Celebrini, against Boston University, Michigan, and other NCAA opponents.
Talking to those BU folks. They're good folks. They're fans of Canucks Army. Good stuff.
Who isn't these days?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The good folks at BU.
I know a few people who aren't fans of Canucks Army these days.
Easy.
Patreon.com/Canucks Convo. $5 and $10 tier gets you all the bonus content. Back to what I'm talking about.
Sorry, before you go to before your next point, I find that really interesting. NCAA team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no NCAA teams in Canada playing hockey.
Mm-hmm.
SFU, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I have this right. Them going into NCAA for football was the first Canadian team to jump into the NCAA.
I believe you're right. Yep.
I think hockey makes a lot more sense. The only
Do you know
thing
how
I'd
easy it would be
about,
to recruit? Like, it would be so
Sure.
easy to recruit.
Sure.
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
The thing I'm worried about is all of the NCAA hockey teams are in the East, right? Like, is
Tough nuts, man.
Denver the most West? University of Denver NCAA hockey? Like, I think that's the only one. Maybe, or what's the Arizona State?
ASU, yeah.
Like, those teams to the West, there's just not, there's nothing in Washington, Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
that area there, which I find a little interesting. But it makes so much sense for it. Like, I get that SFU was like, yeah, NCAA football, that sounds great. They sucked. They lost every game by like 60 points, it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does.
That'd be great, having a battle between like Hockey East and Pacific Northwest or whatever you want to call it. I think that would be an awesome idea.
Okay, so what does this lead to? Basically, if SFU wants a Div 1 NCAA team, which I know they do, they will need a new arena if that team is to join NCAA. Bill Copeland's not going to cut it. Bill Copeland is not up to standards for NCAA.
If I can cut in here, yeah, I mean,
hockey club.
you look at some of these things like Michigan and
Mullet Arena.
Northeastern, these arenas they have are incredible for NCAA hockey. You got to be better than Bill Copeland. I've never been there, but I try to take your word for it.
Hey, beautiful place, but not up to NCAA standards. It's nice for a toonie skate, but yeah. Actually, it's not. Yeah,
you better wear your helmet when you go out there, Quads.
Absolutely. Okay. So as I was compiling the story, obviously it became more about the SFU angles, but I did also confirm with multiple sources that, like I said, Francesco Aquilini has met at least twice with SFU President Joy Johnson. PJ, Patrick Johnson, in his report that he wrote about this after he, saw my story and everything, said several meetings, not between those two necessarily, but between SFU and the Canucks, different leadership between the two. And I have also confirmed that what they are talking about is a facility. Both the school and the Canucks need a facility. Now, what I was also able to confirm in that story, and Aaron, I know we got the photos here, is where they would put this facility, because I also wanted to make sure that I had some idea of the location. So I noticed this empty parking lot, and I was kind of told, like, yeah, this is probably where they do it. But I really, really wanted to hammer it home that the school would be okay, building something there.
Right.
Pull it up, Aaron. Yeah. Okay. So,
Looks
and for
good,
those on the podcast, Faber's got me in my beautiful grip of a 6-iron, ready to hit onto SFU here. But at the bottom left, southwest there, you see I've circled it with an oval, and that is because the Richmond Oval was originally going to be constructed there. It was very hard to find. Nobody knew exactly where the Oval was going to be constructed. I was looking at newspapers.com. I was going through everything. And then the Burnaby Heritage Archives, pull this one up, Aaron. I found Wedman, the athletic director, the old athletic director, holding up a rendering. And I zoomed right in on that photo that he's holding. He's standing in that empty lot near the residencies. You can see the softball field there, the mountains to the north. And that is how I determined that is exactly where the Oval was going to be constructed. Another thing that I didn't point out in my story, there's another road there. There is another road being built in that rendering. That rendering shows a road that does not exist yet. So a lot of people saying, well, what about the drive up the mountain? What about this? What about that? Traffic, blah, blah, blah. They were willing to build another road for the Oval. And I didn't even notice that, quite honestly, until right now. So I just wanted to point that out, that not only is that a location where the SFU transit buses don't go up that road, there is a road that runs down the middle for those buses to go. There's a couple roundabouts. That is on the west side of the campus, and you go toward the residencies. That is where I would argue, having gone to the school, I would argue that's where the least amount of traffic goes, is to where that practice facility would be built. Okay. So what else do we know about this? Francesco Aquilini is an SFU graduate. Also wanted to throw that in there.
There we go.
Little sweetheart deal, potentially, is what we're looking at here. And now we're officially stopping all reporting. This is what we think and what we wonder about this situation.
You've been talking to a lot of people. I know you've been talking to
I have
people.
been. And these are the things that I wonder that I haven't been able to I'm not reporting anything here. Faber's getting a call. Guys got to put it on mute. You got to put it on mute.
It's on mute, but I got the
it's on mute, but
ones.
It goes loud. And I'm not on your emergency contacts. Like, I'm not your favorites. You would have been awake. I wouldn't have had to wear this suit. Although I
call me 20 times a day to tell me just something.
I don't.
Bert took a dump on the rug or something. I don't need all that call. I don't need the calls from you.
Okay, so the big question for me, Chris, and I've got a lot of them. The big one for me is, what does an agreement look like? Like, does SFU donate the land to the Canucks if they offer to build it for free? What's going on
I
here?
think that's your computer.
No, it's not.
Well, that's my computer.
Oh
What's
my
going on?
gosh. The thing I wonder, that's the big thing I wonder is, shut your thing off
I
here.
know
What's
we're
going on?
losing. You know what?
We're losing it. The big thing I wonder is if SFU donates the land to the Canucks, do the Canucks agree to build the facility? Because there's an agreement that works for both sides. The Canucks are getting a sweetheart deal on the land. They don't have to pay for the land, which is going to be a huge cost. SFU doesn't have to build the arena. They're giving the land to the Canucks for free. Is this what the agreement looks like? Like, how many more intricacies are in this agreement? Are there 2 rinks built? One where the school gets to, dictate when they do things. The Canucks dictate when they do things on one rink. Like, how many seats are built in this arena? Can the Canucks host a training camp there? Right? Like they did at the Abbotsford Center. Can the Canucks do that? Another one. Do the Canucks want this more central location so that the Abbotsford Canucks can also use it? You take Highway 1, it's about 40 minutes away from Abbotsford, maybe more like 50 minutes away from Abbotsford Center to SFU. Might be closer to an hour, actually. You've made the drive out.
No,
but it's just off Gallardi Way.
Week, man. Which day of the week?
Another thing I wonder, do they rename it? Is it no longer called Gallardi Way? What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I got to
just ruffled your mic.
I know I missed that. I've lost it a little bit.
You gotta wake up here. Holy cow. I come with notes. I got my suit on. You just roll out of bed.
Well, I'm not sick. I got a runny nose, and that's what's getting me here.
Okay. So that's the big one I wonder is like, what does this agreement actually look like? Okay. And another one that I wonder is this idea of, this is such a far commute for the players. How is this going to happen?
How are you going to get up the hill? People are saying.
Yeah. What happens when the SFU Burnaby campus gets snowed in? Folks, I'm just going to be upfront here. I went to SFU. Okay. Yeah, and this idea of the shutting down of the mountain, it happened to me once when I went to the school. And you know what happened? And people saying, you had to sleep in the gym, blah, blah, blah. If you got a friend with a truck or snow tires,
easy.
You're getting down and up the mountain just fine. Like public transit sometimes stops, but I'm going out on a hunch here and saying that I don't think JT Miller is going to be taking the 95B line to get home to West Van. Like I'm pretty sure these players are driving. None of them are going to be taking public transit. Gondola being constructed in 2026. So you're going to get
the other thing I thought about too is like, hey, there's a lot of Canucks who live right around here by the rink. I see them in the elevator in my building all the time, or around the streets here. A lot of them are in Yaletown or down in Gastown as well. But like, would they not just take a bus from Rogers Arena, or have some sort of shuttle thing? Like, hey, we're going out to practice. Y'all can come here and we'll shuttle together. Like, I just don't.
There's
think
going to be. It's not going to be
SkyTrain
an issue.
No,
you can't SkyTrain up to SFU. That's the thing. Gondola in 2026, like I said, but you can't. Like, it's not as big of a deal as everybody thinks. And the distance thing is so not unique to the Canucks. Like, it is actually about normal. Like, it's actually a shorter drive than a lot of teams around the league have from their home rink to their practice facility. And just talking to some players around the league and just different kind of situations around the league, if it's constructed at SFU, players will start to move to more central locations. You'll start to see more players living in East Van, right? Like not everybody's going to go live in Kerrisdale or where they're at right now, right? If there's a practice facility in Burnaby, players might even start living in Burnaby like they used to in the old days.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like you're going to start to see players just start to move. It's not as big of a deal as everybody thinks. The drive from Rogers Arena to SFU's Burnaby campus is 15.4 kilometers, about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic. Remember, these guys are leaving at the middle of the day. They're not hitting rush hour traffic, right? And it's always the other way. Anyways, the setup isn't as big of a deal as everybody seems to think. Everybody wants it to be downtown. Look, I think that's best case scenario, but also let's be realistic here. We do know that the cost of land is posing challenges for ownership. So look, they're looking at different places. I don't have enough information to report on those other places. I do know at least one of them is within the city of Vancouver. And obviously PJ has also reported about Willingdon and Canada Way in Burnaby, just off Highway 1 there. Right by BCIT, our old stomping grounds.
Yeah,
Chris. For the rest of the NHL, I talked about this, and someone brought up, recruitment. Like they're not gonna be able to recruit anybody if it's a practice facility. You know what'll help with recruitment? Staying out of the headlines for the wrong reasons and winning hockey games. The Pittsburgh Penguins, their practice facility is about 30 minutes away from PPG Paints Arena. Have they had any trouble recruiting in Pittsburgh? Dallas. Same sort of thing. The New York Rangers are 50 kilometers away from MSG. Do you think that's hurt the New York Rangers in recruiting? I don't think so. I think guys like Jacob Trouba are trying to get there. Like, guys want to play for these teams, and it's not because their practice facilities are closer, far away. It's just
At least they have one.
Exactly. It is not as big of a deal as everybody seems to think. If it's at SFU, what really matters is that it's a world-class facility, which I'm sure the Canucks are going to promise that it is. That's all I got on this. That's what I think. Feedback is encouraged, of course, in the YouTube live chat. It's, yeah, I don't know. It's, yeah. And Corey Anderson said in the chat, he said, let's get real here. It only shuts down because it's Vancouver and people can't drive in the snow here. Like, do you think people in Edmonton and Minnesota, like players, are worried about their commute around town?
No,
they're not.
No, I think it's ultimately it's a good idea. I'm trying to think of like what are the downsides of it.
What are the downsides of SFU?
I mean, it's not right beside Rogers Arena where most of the players live, but we've brought it up and I had some great replies to the poll question, which you'll get to in a little bit here. But yeah, it's just players would start to migrate that way a little bit, right? Towards that, be in between them a little bit. It's just, to me, it's a little bit difficult. I don't think it like really affects the players that much, like having people be able to walk into UBC and watch a practice or go to 8 rinks and be able to just stand there at practice and get all the autographs. And I think certain players like doing that, but also at the same time, it's nice to kind of just have something that's your own a little bit, right? Okay, this is our practice facility. Or maybe the Canucks are selling tickets like the Kraken are to practices and things like that. Like, it's,
you know they will.
Oh yeah, they will by donation. But I mean, like just having something and be able to make it your own. I know you're sharing it with SFU maybe at that point, or they're trying to make the push for the NCAA,
2 ice
whatever
surfaces, right? Maybe
whatever
2
it
ice
is.
surfaces.
Like, yeah, they've got actual land to work with something that is going to make sense in the end, instead of being forced like a square peg into a circle hole.
Yeah.
With going out to UBC, the ice isn't that good at UBC. Going out to 8 rinks, ice is a little bit better out there, but there's like a million rinks and everything going on. Like, the players sometimes want to get here for the skate early and just go to work.
I asked Petey once if he likes coming out to Burnaby, being, born and raised in beautiful North Burnaby. I asked Petey, I was like, do you like driving out to Burnaby? He goes, it's fine, but I don't like the ice. I was like, very valid.
Yeah.
Very valid point, Petey. Okay, I should have clarified this a little better, I think.
Bring something back up too. I said the NCAA stuff before you get this.
Yeah.
There are some teams in the Northwest. Alaska, 2 teams in Alaska, and
it's possible. It's
Lisa
possible,
brought it
right?
up, and like I said that University of Washington and Washington State, they both had them. They're not Div 1. So I'm looking at the map right now. The most northwest would be the 2 Alaska teams, Denver and Colorado College, as well as North Dakota, starting to get into the north area there. So there are some you could make a division happen. There's going to be a lot of traveling, of course, but maybe you add a Calgary, right? Maybe you do go Washington State. The Cougars come up and play Div 1. Like, there's some options there for sure. I like that kind of point that you've brought up today of the SFU trying to make a push. I really think a Canadian team could push to be in the NCAA Div 1 for hockey.
And I should have clarified this a little better, I suppose. But Joseph Lowe in the chat, regular commenter in the chat, said, "What is SFU wanting a Div 1 hockey team have anything to do with donating the Canucks a practice facility? Are they sharing the facilities?" Yes.
Yeah.
They would. That is the idea. Is that they would be sharing the facility in some capacity. Those are the discussions that are taking place. Obviously. Is that sort of thing. So that's kind of what we're keeping an eye on.
They got 4 rinks at the Kraken Iceplex.
Yeah, and there's gonna be multiple ice surfaces. Like,
totally.
2 is probably even light. The final thing I want to say about
it's not like an arena they're building, right? Maybe one sort of
you
arena.
Put one ice surface has seats.
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe 2 and one has less than the other. If you have like a 4,000 plus seat arena, that's the number I was just given.
Yeah. Because they're gonna, if that's the thing, if it is going to be them connecting, it can't just be like 4 practice rings. Like, one's gonna have to kind of be the stage for them to actually play NCAA games, if that's what ends up
absolutely
happening.
And
because SFU, I used to do the BCIHL.
Yes.
Like, that's the league that they're playing in right now. And that's a league that's like a lot of guys that graduated out of the Dub or BCHL. They're just looking for a scholarship and looking to play somewhere else. So NCAA would really change things. Like, you would get a big chunk of the best players from the BCHL, the AJHL. A lot of them would probably like to stay and play for SFU if they're the NCAA team of Western Canada. Like, I think that would draw some people to want to play there instead of going to North Dakota, Michigan, these type of things. And those are huge programs and people would want to go play there if you're the best of the best and a top prospect. But think about like the next level of guys from the BCHL that are getting so many scholarships. We know how many scholarships they give out every year to the BCHL players. A lot of those would be people wanting to stay in BC and continue to play in their home province.
Yeah.
Maybe Macklin Celebrini would have been an SFU What's the team name at SFU?
The Red Leafs. They changed the name to the Red Leafs, not Leaves. Leafs.
That's dumb.
We're not. No comment. No comment
They'll
on
change- they better
that.
change
Proud
that.
SFU dropout.
Yeah.
Went there for 1 year.
Yeah, you did.
Learned a lot about English and writing. And hey, it worked out. Then I went to BCIT. Anyways, I'm not going to go over
What'd you
my,
drop out of there?
When did I drop out of BCIT? Well, I did part-time. I'm not going to get into that.
No.
Dropped out 1 year before you graduated.
Yeah. Let's get to our poll question. It's related to the practice facility.
Final thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Final thing. I just wanted to say that everybody talking about this downtown rink, like build it downtown, that is just not the norm in the NHL. It's not going to happen in Vancouver. There are 3 teams in the league, Chris, that have their facility, their practice facility, within walking distance or downtown of the arena. So if the Canucks had done the Plaza of Nations thing, they would have joined this list, becoming the 4th. The 3 places that have their practice facility in those places, Columbus, Edmonton, and Buffalo. Go look up the price of real estate in those 3 cities and compare it to what we're looking at here in Vancouver.
No, plus they have a great gym down here at Rogers Arena.
They do have a great gym.
If it's just a workout and a little bit of time on ice, yeah, but it's like if it's a dedicated practice day and you want 4 hours of ice,
yeah,
go out there for that. Or if
and the other
go
thing,
for that. They could still practice at Rogers Arena.
Yes,
that is the thing that people don't. Or maybe no one's.
But times like right now, when they can't practice at Rogers Arena,
they got Beyonce down the street here. She's taking up the BC Place and Rogers.
They're practicing at UBC because they have nowhere else to practice. If they had a practice facility, they could do that. Players wouldn't have to talk to media. It'd be great. They'd love it.
They'd love it. Yeah.
Anyways,
it's the right. It's like it feels weird to say, but it's like the right thing to do. Like put your players in the best position to make them most comfortable, especially when they come in early. Like they don't have to be here till training camp. They're all going to come. Obviously, they're going to come here and want to be able to practice with the guys. Just be nice to. I think if this ends up working out, but this has got to be years down the road, right? They're not getting this thing built in 6 months.
No, it's not going to be built in 6 months, but
at least get it. Yeah, it'll be
a year down the road.
The next step of actually getting this done will be the interesting part.
Do we have a press conference before the season starts? About construction underway? Do we have anything?
Might be time for Jim to get back in the media.
You'd think, yep.
Yeah. All right, get to the poll question here. It's related to your
our poll question. Our poll question, as always, brought to you by the great folks over at Atlas Goods. Go to atlasgds.com and use promo code CC15. That will get you 15% off your first order of pop rinds. These are the best fresh pork rinds straight from your microwave or air fryer. Folks, locally owned and operated Atlas Goods. They've got multiple flavors. You throw your favorite popcorn seasoning on there, and you've got a delicious, high-protein, low-carb snack, so be sure to go check them out. These are not like your grandmom's pork rinds, folks.
No.
AtlasGDS.com. Is a practice facility on the SFU Burnaby campus a good idea? Yes, I love the idea. No, it should be downtown. No more goalie talk. And as always, I'm angry.
I know where I voted.
This is so silly. Anyways, I voted with yes. I love the idea. This isn't because I can see SFU from here and from my house. That's not why. But it is part of it. I would like it to be closer. But
yeah,
look, I shouldn't say I love the idea because personally I do, but I understand the idea from an ownership perspective. From ownership's perspective, from the organization's perspective, I understand it, and it is not breaking any sort of norm to make your players drive 15 kilometers for their practice rink. It's just not. So yes, I like the idea, and I'm with the 36% of voters that say they love the idea. 53% say no, it should be downtown. Yeah, good luck. 2% say no more goalie talk, and 9% of voters say they are angry.
Yeah, a lot of people want it to be downtown, but
good response
brought
here.
It up. Yeah, I think it's an intro. I just think that the people haven't really thought about just kind of the process of evolving into this being the practice facility, make a commitment to it. You mentioned maybe a road is built or something, or just a little bit. It's going to depend on how they actually run the situation on a day-to-day. I just think it makes a lot of sense, and it's really not that far away from them. And players like we've had in the replies, they'll start to migrate out that way a little bit more. It just makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Good reply from Hockey Badger here on Twitter.
Yeah.
Do people not realize how practice facilities work in most other markets? Montreal's is 16 kilometers away. Toronto's is 15 kilometers away. LA's is 26 kilometers away. The Rangers are 54 kilometers away. And as I mentioned, the Penguins, 33 kilometers away. SFU would be 15 kilometers away. same as Toronto, which is the lowest of those teams that we just mentioned. Do any of those teams have trouble recruiting? No. If you're a winning organization, you are not going to have trouble recruiting
if you
players.
do it right and you make that practice facility like top of the line, which the Canucks would do. And I mean, somebody mentioned it in here. Aquilini can invest in a Canucks facility if building near the practice arena too. Someone said, but like if the land isn't like a big deal and you're not paying how much you would have to do to get land down here in downtown Vancouver, maybe the Aquilinis really invest in that practice facility and make it incredible. Like that's what they should do, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anything else on this?
No, I'm good there. I'm good on that.
Shorter poll question today, but it is about what we've been talking about, and that
I'm having an off show too. I'm having a bad show.
Yeah.
This was going to be
fine.
This was a show for you to carry. I carry you on 90% of the shows anyways.
No, you're doing fine.
And plus, I said Wednesday's all Young Stars talk, so I'm going to run that.
Yeah,
show.
I'm going to bring my nightcap, sweatpants.
Why we make a good team, Quads.
That's right. We do make a great team.
Brains and brawn, right?
More and more people are saying it.
Yeah. Well, some people.
Joseph Lowe with a great point. JT Miller would have the worst commute of anyone.
He'd be out of
You ever taken the Ironworkers Bridge? Have you ever had to take it?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Right over there.
I don't know. I
can see the congestion from here.
Oh, yikes, yeah.
Yeah. One accident on that bridge and They really should build another bridge. There should be another bridge. Well, I guess there's, Lionsgate, but Lionsgate's over there. There should be one that goes to Lower Lonsdale, like what the C bus does. There should be another bridge built.
Well, all these Canucks, they got these boats that are pulling people behind on the whatever little what do they call these things?
Wakeboard,
water skis. I'm not young and hip anymore, Quads. I can't.
You broke your hip on a wakeboard.
Well, maybe, but I mean, what I'm saying is they'll just float around. They'll put the boats out in the water and go straight to practice. Put all the gear in the back.
The other thing, a lot of the players don't actually have to drive during rush hour for this practice facility.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. A lot of the times the practices are at 11 a.m. and they're going against the flow of traffic. They get to drive through Burnaby, which, hey, Google Maps says Parker Street is the best way to get there. That's probably the way I'd take, right? Drive right through the old neighborhood, my old stomping grounds. But I'll tell you what, that traffic from Alpha Secondary and Burnaby North Secondary, Parker gets backed up, man. The light at Willingdon to Parker, basically from First Ave, and when you get on at Boundary Road, Boundary Road. We've talked about that. I explained to you that's the boundary between Vancouver and Burnaby.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as you get onto those beautiful Burnaby streets, there's some traffic there. There's some traffic on Parker there. A lot of congestion. Students crossing the street at Willingdon and Parker. As one of those students, I saw long lines of cars my whole life. So aside from right to rush hour, but like 3:30. You want to avoid that road, but that's the thing, they would be avoiding. And I've driven that way. Like I make that drive for even further every day. It's fine. And look, I know I'm not an NHL player. Let's just wrap it up.
All right. Let's get to our Betway bet of the day.
The drive isn't that
Jeremy
bad.
says don't give away any of the trade secrets here from the driving.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk.
Too late.
Corey, Quad's another bridge. You got a couple $100 million to make it happen, fella. Like I said, I'm not an NHL player or a city planner.
Get his ass, Corey. I'm not.
I just don't like driving over the Ironworkers.
All right, Betway. Let's get to our bet of the day. I'll get us out of here. Betway. What do we got? Baseball. You don't know. You didn't do any of the prep for this, even though you say you're doing prep here. Blue Jays and Rangers. How about that for a series, Quads? I know you're pumped for this one, aren't you?
Very invested in that one.
What are you most excited about here with this series?
I am very much so rooting for the Jays, man. Like, I don't know how you can't. Look, I make fun of Jays fans sometime, and when it comes to Mariners versus Jays, I'm riding with the Mariners. Nobody wants to see. Well, some people do. Right. I don't want to see the Jays miss the playoffs. Like,
no, I know it's
do
fun.
You?
The Jays are a fun team to have in the playoffs because they're just chaotic as all hell.
And here's the other thing: if you finish, actually, I gotta look it up. But someone's gonna play the Twins in the first wild card round, and the Twins are worse than any team in the wild card because the AL Central is a joke of a division, and quite honestly, the MLB playoff format's a bit of a joke as well. But I'm not gonna get into that. All
right, here we go.
Yeah,
easy money here. Chris Bassett and Dane Dunning are the two starters. Chris Bassett for Toronto, Dane Dunning for Texas. God, that's a good name.
It is a good name.
Dane Dunning.
Up and down year for Dunning.
So here's the bet. Both of the starters today to record 4 or more strikeouts. Dunning is averaging 6.7 strikeouts over his last 7 outings. Bassett averaging 5.9 strikeouts over his last 13 outings. You combine those to make 20 outings. Only one of those outings, those two players have combined to be under 4 strikeouts. So $10 bet's going to return you 20 on this one. You just need both of them to have 4 or more strikeouts. Not asking a lot, just asking for both to do a little. And that's what we're going with today. Even odds on this one. $10 bet. We're going to return you 20. There you go.
Former Jay, Kirby Yates on the bump right now for the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
Braves trying to secure a victory
There you go, Aaron.
on our producer Aaron Bordato's birthday. That's Aaron's favorite team, other than the Edmonton Riverhawks.
Yeah.
Of course.
Good
okay.
spot over there. So Wednesday, I believe we're going to announce our lineup on Wednesday.
Probably.
I think we're going to announce it on Wednesday. Yep. We're going to do a big Young Stars preview. I'll be heading up Thursday afternoon.
Yep.
Carpooling with Drance and Harmon.
Nice.
Should be an interesting
Get the
ride up.
Tunes ready?
Yeah. Oh, I got the tune. I hope that I can DJ here. It's not going to be Harm DJing. I'll tell you that. I'll be in there DJing hopefully on the way up, listening to this. Just blasting my own podcast as I DJ. That's a good, smart move. But we'll do that. We'll announce the show schedule, our regular guests on Wednesday, which I'm very excited. I got everything locked in. I already know everything. I just want to tell everybody, but I think we'll save it for Wednesday's show a little bit, give us something to talk about and discuss a little bit in depth. I'm pumped for it. Our regular guests are freaking awesome. So jacked up for them to be regulars on the show here moving forward. And some exciting stuff as well to announce that I don't think people will see coming. I'm excited for it. So Wednesday we'll be back for a show. We're doing it at 1 o'clock, right, Quads?
Yes, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. So a little bit of a change up from today's show at 12:30. Thanks to everyone for tuning in on the YouTube chat. We are less than 20 subscribers away from 2,000. And then I can, start flexing a little bit on the bosses out there in Edmonton. So if you aren't subscribed to the YouTube account, go ahead and do that right now. Are we getting a Burt Cam or no?
No Burt Cam today.
No Burt Cam. Okay. What's he up to?
He's sleeping right now.
He's licking probably, and that's why you don't want him on here.
I don't want to do a Burt Cam. I got stuff going on.
Okay, no Burt Cam today. People
Did people ask for it?
Yeah, people are asking for it in the chat, especially Karan or Karen, as you call.
He just
oh nope.
He just opened his
Karan
eyes.
says pain. People want the Burt Cam.
He just opened his eyes because the camera disrupts him a little.
So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe. We're going to have clips. We are going to have those YouTube shorts. We're experimenting with that a little bit. Maybe we'll even have a live stream of just Burt Cams for you through the night. We'll see if that happens down the road. Lisa crying emojis all up in the chat here. Don't worry, Lisa. Here you go. There's your Burt Cam. There we go. Everybody's happy now. Everybody in the chat's all happy now. All right, Quads, take us out of here.
Okay. For my co-host, Chris Faber, a very happy birthday to our technical producer, Aaron Bordato. My name is Dave Guagelli. Folks, thanks for joining us on this Monday edition of the Canucks Conversation.
Woo!
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?